Good morning/afternoon, everyone. Today I want to speak to you about something that carries us through the darkest valleys, lifts us beyond the tallest mountains, and empowers us when our strength fails. Faith. Not just faith in a religious sense, but a deep, personal, unwavering belief that even when the path is unclear, we are meant to keep moving forward. Faith truly begins the moment certainty ends. When life is predictable and everything is going according to plan, there is no real need for faith. We're simply walking a clear and safe path. But the minute we step into unfamiliar territory, where answers aren't readily available and outcomes cannot be guaranteed, that's where faith steps in. It's in these uncertain spaces where true belief is tested and shaped. Faith isn't developed in ease. It is developed in ease. It is forged in uncertainty, where we must rely not on what we see, but what we trust to be true. In our lives, we often crave control and clarity. We want to know what will happen next, and we hesitate to move until we are sure of success. However, this mindset can become a trap. When we depend solely on our own understanding, we limit ourselves to only what is within our immediate grasp. Faith, on the other hand, dares us to stretch beyond the visible, to believe in something bigger than ourselves. It opens up possibilities we might never have explored had we waited for complete certainty. This is not to say that uncertainty is easy. In fact, it can be deeply uncomfortable and even frightening. But these are the very conditions in which faith becomes real. When the road ahead is foggy and there are no guarantees, choosing to keep going anyway becomes a powerful act of courage. It is in this moment of surrender when we say, I don't know what's next, but I believe I am being led somewhere meaningful, that faith truly takes root. It is the choice to believe without seeing, to trust without knowing, and to move forward even without assurance. Faith, then, is not a passive hope, but an active decision to move forward despite uncertainty. It is a quiet strength that builds within us when we continue walking in the dark, trusting that light will meet us along the way. While certainty seeks control, faith thrives in surrender. And the more we embrace the unknown with faith, the more we realize that life isn't about having everything figured out. It's about walking with confidence even when we don't. It's about walking with confidence even when we don't. Challenges are not interruptions to the journey of faith. Many people mistakenly believe that once they choose a path and more without adversity, faith remains theoretical. It's the trials that make it real and deeply rooted. Life's difficulties often feel unfair or overwhelming, especially when we've done everything right. But it's important to understand that challenges are not punishments, they are opportunities, invitations for us to grow beyond what we thought we were capable of. They teach us to lean not just on our own strengths, but on something greater. In these moments, we learn to surrender our pride, acknowledge our limitations, and rely more fully on faith. Through struggle, we gain a new perspective, often realizing that what once felt like a setback was actually setting us up for growth. In the face of adversity, it becomes easier to understand the difference between shallow belief and unwavering faith. Anyone can believe when things are going well, but when life throws curveballs, illness, loss, failure, betrayal, that's when our true foundation is tested. If we're anchored in faith, we won't be destroyed by these storms. We might bend, we might even break momentarily, but we will rise again. Each difficulty becomes a stepping stone, a piece of our journey that refines us and pushes us closer to our purpose. Ultimately, embracing challenges as part of the journey allows us to view life through a lens of trust rather than fear. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we begin to ask, "What is this teaching me?" That shift in mindset is where transformation begins. Challenges don't mean we've lost our way. Sometimes they are confirmations that we're on the right path. They are there to teach us resilience, build spiritual muscles, and prepare us for the bigger responsibilities ahead. Through them, our faith deepens and our purpose becomes clearer. Faith is not a passive feeling or a quiet hope we carry in our hearts. It is an active force that compels us to move. It's easy to say we believe in something, but the true test of faith comes when we are called to act on that belief, especially when there's risk involved. Real faith asks us to step forward even when the outcome is uncertain, even when fear is whispering in our ear. It's the bridge between where we are and where we want to be. But that bridge only appears once we begin to walk. Too often, people confuse faith with wishful thinking. They wait endlessly for the right time, the clear sign, or the perfect set of circumstances before they make a move. But the truth is, faith doesn't work that way. It thrives in motion. It's in taking the first step, even if it's shaky, even if we're unsure. That doors begin to open. The universe, God, or destiny responds when we act in alignment with what we believe. Without action, faith remains a nice idea, never realized, never lived. Think about every great figure in history or every success story that has ever inspired us. None of them stayed in one place merely hoping things would change. They moved, they struggled, they risked, and they often failed before they succeeded. But what separated them was their willingness to act on what they believed, to trust their purpose, even when nothing around them confirmed it. That's the kind of faith that transforms life. It's not about waiting for certainty. It's about creating possibility through movement. Taking action in faith also means accepting that we might not get it right the first time. There will be stumbles, wrong turns, and moments of doubt. But every step taken in faith teaches us something valuable about ourselves, our paths, and our purpose. We begin to develop resilience, perseverance, and courage. These qualities don't come from standing still. They come from forward motion. And with every step, our faith is no longer just something we speak about. It becomes something we embody, something that shapes the very direction of our lives. Fear is a natural part of every significant journey. It arises when we face the unknown, when we are pushed out of our comfort zones, or when the risk of failure looms large. In moments of transition or uncertainty, fear can feel overwhelming. It clouds our thinking, paralyzes our movement, and whispers lies that we are not good enough or that we'll never make it. But the presence of fear does not mean the absence of faith. In fact, fear and faith often coexist. The difference is in which one we choose to follow. Faith doesn't always silence fear. It simply refuses to let fear have the final say. One of the biggest misconceptions people have is that if they feel afraid, they're not being faithful enough. But feeling fear doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. The real strength lies in moving forward despite that fear. Faith says, yes, I see the danger, I feel the uncertainty, but I'm going anyway. It transforms fear from a roadblock into a signal that we're stepping into growth. When we do things that scare us, when we pursue a dream, speak our truth, or stand up for what we believe in, that's when faith becomes most powerful. It becomes the fuel that propels us through fear, not around it. There will be moments when fear screams louder than faith. There will be situations where doubt overshadows trust, and the future looks more threatening than promising. But those are the moments where faith must rise, not as blind optimism, but as a deep conviction that we are not defined by our fear. Faith reminds us of our purpose, our strength, and our ability to overcome. It calls us to remember how far we've already come, how many battles we've survived, and how capable we truly are. It anchors us in hope when everything else feels shaky. Overcoming fear with faith is not a one-time act, it's a daily decision. Every day we are faced with choices that can either be guided by fear or by faith. Will we hold back from opportunity because of imagined failure? Or will we step forward, trusting that growth lies on the other side? The more we choose faith, the more courage we build, and soon fear begins to lose its grip, not because it disappears, but because we learn that we are stronger than it. Faith is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to keep going, even when fear is present. One of the most difficult lessons in life is learning to let go of control. We are conditioned to believe that if we can just manage every detail, predict every outcome, and hold tight to our plans, everything will work out exactly as we imagine. But real life rarely unfolds that way. The truth is, no matter how carefully we plan, there will always be factors beyond our control, and trying to micromanage every part of our lives only leads to frustration, stress, and disappointment. Faith invites us to loosen our grip, to release the illusion of control, and to trust in a greater plan, even when we can't see it. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means surrendering the need to understand every piece of the puzzle before taking a step. It's about recognizing that while we can make decisions and take action, we cannot always dictate the outcome. When we insist on controlling everything, we limit the flow of life. We block opportunities, we resist change, and we close ourselves off from paths we were meant to explore. But when we let go, we create space. Yasanjito. The unexpected, the mort. Nart Reshundo. There are many erahach. We create space for the unexpected. On Aru. In between. And we think God. This surrender is a sign of strength, not weakness. It takes courage to trust something you cannot see. Whether that's a higher power, the flow of life, or the deeper wisdom within yourself. It's easy to cling to the familiar because it feels safe, even if it's limiting. But letting go allows us to move freely, unburdened by fear and the constant need for control. It opens the door to transformation. By surrendering our rigid expectations, we make room for growth, healing, and new possibilities. New possibilities. We begin to align with a life that's guided the mamo dearata, the mama. The practice of releasing control is ongoing. There will be moments when we feel tempted to take the reins back, to force outcomes, to manipulate situations, to push against the natural flow. But in those moments, faith reminds us to pause, to breathe, and to trust that things are unfolding as they should. It is in this letting go that we truly begin to experience peace. We realize that while we may not have control over every event, we do have control over how we respond. And choosing to respond with faith brings a strength and serenity that no amount of control ever could. Delays are often viewed as setbacks, obstacles that stand between us and your desired outcomes. They make us question our timing, our choices, and sometimes even our worth. In a world that celebrates speed, efficiency, and instant results, delays can feel like failure. But when we move through life with faith, our perspective on delays changes entirely. Instead of seeing them as roadblocks, we begin to recognize them as necessary pauses, moments designed to teach, shape, and prepare us for what lies ahead. Faith gives us the patience to see beyond the wait and trust that timing has its own wisdom. When things don't happen according to our schedule, it's easy to feel frustrated or disheartened. We might wonder if we've been forgotten or if our efforts have been in vain. But faith tells us that every season has its purpose. The waiting period isn't empty, it's a fertile time for growth. During these delays, we often gain clarity about who we are, refine our goals, and develop the resilience needed to handle the future we're moving toward. The pause becomes a classroom, and faith is the teacher reminding us that the journey matters just as much as the destination. Moreover, delays challenge our inner posture. Will we grow bitter, impatient, or anxious? Or will we choose to believe that something greater is being orchestrated behind the scenes? Faith transforms waiting into a sacred space where we deepen our trust. It shifts our focus from the outcome to the process, reminding us that growth often happens in silence, in stillness, and in moments of perceived inactivity. What looks like a delay on the surface may actually be divine protection, or preparation. Sometimes we're not being denied, we're being refined. In these moments, faith also teaches us the value of endurance. We learn that not everything worth having comes quickly, and messes we appreciate and creates the small steps we're taking every delay, every detour, every delay, every delay. Through faith, delays are no longer something we dread. They become part of the unfolding beauty of a journey that is rich, intentional, and filled with purpose. In life's most difficult and uncertain moments, it's easy to feel isolated. When facing trials, rejections, or disappointments, many people begin to believe that they are entirely on their own. The weight of their struggles becomes heavier, and the silence around them grows louder. But faith reminds us of a powerful truth. We are never truly alone. Whether one believes in a higher power, the universe, divine energy, or even the support of unseen forces, faith assures us that there is always something greater walking alongside us, guiding us through every dark valley and every uphill climb. Even when it seems that no one else understands our pain or our path, faith becomes the quiet companion that offers comfort and direction. It is the voice that speaks when the world falls silent, the hand that holds us when everything else seems out of reach. Knowing that we are not alone instills a strength within us, a strength to keep walking, to keep hoping, to keep believing. Even when there's no physical evidence to support it, this sense of divine companionship becomes a source of courage that sustains us through the most challenging seasons of life. There are also moments in life when people may physically leave us. Friends grow distant, relationships end, mentors move on. In those seasons of emptiness, it can feel as though we've lost our footing. But faith steps in as a constant presence that never wavers. It reminds us that spiritual companionship doesn't depend on physical presence. Sometimes, the very loneliness we dread becomes the environment in which we discover the depth of our spiritual connection. In solitude, we often hear the clearest whispers of guidance and reassurance, not because we are alone, but because we are finally quiet enough to listen. This awareness that we are supported, seen, known, and loved, even when no one else is around, provides a sense of peace that is unshakable. It allows us to face life with a calm and steady heart, knowing that whatever we walk through it with unseen strength beside us. This connection is not dependent on external validation or the presence of others. It is rooted deep within the soul, built through experience, nurtured by faith, and proven in the hardest of times. With this understanding, we no longer fear isolation. We have divinely accompanied on every step of our journey They won't be isolated, nor are we separate, and it is up to us to cling for more journey. So as we move forward in life, let us walk not with fear, but with unwavering faith. Let us remember that every challenge has meaning, every delay has purpose, and every step taken in faith brings us closer to becoming who we are meant to be. We may not always see the path ahead clearly, with many. This part, because when we walk in faith, we are never truly alone. And the journey, no matter how uncertain, becomes a sacred and powerful adventure of growth, strength, and transformation.